What up, YouTube, and welcome on in. Let's go ahead and cover the Here's the Thing with Mashu for August 3rd, 2022, the patch preview update. We'll see what's covered in this patch. It's a smaller one, but there is a new here we need to talk about. Some banners, ancient inheritance, things like that. We'll try to cover that all pretty briefly, but the main thing is covering light Dominial, first impressions, thoughts on how she's going to be used, and I think I can already give you guys a take on whether or not I think you should pull if you're a newer player, and especially a free-to-play player. Okay, so stay tuned for that. We'll give our first impressions, but let's go ahead and cover, or just scroll through here and find, there's Mashu. Let's go and find the, yeah, we'll just start here on the update summary. So we have a new episode, so episode 4, chapter 8, East Prairie's coming out. Here you go, guys, Moon Bunny Diminial, and I think she is super cute. I really like the way they did her design. I think most people really like the way she looks. They did a super good job on her. Ancient Inheritance Season 3 is coming out, which is very good, guys. Nice thing to do with your guild. Lots of free gear, resources, and equipment. Some really, really good equipment, actually, especially for newer players that want to branch into RTA. Hopefully, it's on a good set with some good subs. But in the past, I believe it was a speed set originally, guys, and then a counter set. Something like that, and they were both very good, if I remember right. And then we have the August balance adjustments, which we can skip because we all should know about that. There is one important thing which I think I'll just cover now, guys. Let me go ahead and scroll to Valen. So they actually decided to, these are changes to the balance adjustments preview post on 7/22. They actually decided to change it, and they're not going through with the sort of pigeonhole him into Banshee. Just a heads up, take a look at that later, guys. If you were an Valen player, they did decide, I think, to listen to the community. So that's a good sign from Smilegate overall. They didn't go through with that change. So no need for recall. He's not getting those PvE buffs, as they call it. So that's kind of good, I think, for anyone that enjoyed Valen. I could care less, but I think some people out there do. So yeah, I think without further ado, boys, let's go ahead and just jump straight into Moon Bunny Diminial, and let's watch it together. Let's see, right here.
Here is her preview.
She looks super good. Y'all got enough Dominials ready?
Made by a fairy?
The triple S?
Maybe a coral accessory from the underwater palace. If that's not it, are you here from my liver?
Real quick, guys. The whole liver line, I talked about this on stream, but apparently this is like a Korean folktale, Korean lore on there used to be a dragon god and he needed the liver of a bunny to cure himself. Long story short, I'm paraphrasing big time, but yeah, I had someone let me know what the background on the liver thing was, but people might be calling her liver Dominial. Just a heads up. Here we go. Her sprite looks really good. That looks super cool too, that little flash animation. Let me turn down the volume a bit. We'll watch it again real fast.
Are you here from my liver?
Hopefully the volume's okay, guys.
Let me see how lucky you really are.
I like it.
You weren't that bad. Why don't you try harder?
Is that that might be the skill 3 animation. That's skill 2 on the original CDOM.
Though she may look like normal rabbit suing, she's actually a descendant of the Moon Bunny tribe.
She is super cute, guys. The Moon Bunny tribe.
She's a fortune teller who has the ability to divine the future.
Turned up slightly. Let me know in the comments if it's too loud, too quiet.
To stop that from happening, Moon Bunny Diminial.
My audio is a little bit different than what you guys hear.
For the legendary moonlight infused
okay,
gem.
so here's the lore. The moonlight infused gem. The Moon Bunny tribe, thought to be extinct.
Moon Bunny Diminial is a 4-star light
4-star Soiver.
She has high
guys, did y'all predict that? By the way, I was talking on my stream. We were giving our guesses today before this, you know, this patch preview went live, and I had a lot of people guess actually Soul Weaver. It kind of just made sense. It'd kind of be weird to see her go into a knight or warrior or maybe thief, possibly. But yeah, Soul Weaver was the most common guess, and yeah, I think that was I think it's pretty cool.
She can increase her allies' attack
instead of keeping her like a mage.
Or increase her health.
So attack and health imprint. By the way, guys, I'm going to hide my camera just for y'all real fast. Take note of this at the bottom. She actually has 50% ER base. Now, we're going to find out here in a sec, guys, and if I don't remember to comment on this again, please let everyone know in the comments below if this is included with her passive, because I believe her S2 passive. I kind of just skimmed through it quickly. I wanted to make sure I talked through it with you guys together here. But yeah, take note of that 50% ER on this stat page first, okay? We'll take a look at the rest of the skills. All right, here we go. Skill introduction. So we're leading off with a skill 2, flow control.
Effect resistance by 20%.
We'll let him explain it.
At the start of an enemy's extra turn, grants immunity and a barrier to all allies for 2
so
turns.
Extra turn, anti-extra turn, boys.
Strength increases proportional to the caster's max health. Immunity and barrier effects can only
so once every 2 turns.
Once every 2 turns. and only activates when the enemy is a hero.
How do you guys feel about that? I think it's a good thing, boys, overall, and I get why Smilegate does only with a hero, but I feel like some of my new guys, let me know, you guys watching, do you guys want some of these units to be also good in PvE as well? They're really shoehorning all of these, right? They all have that clause of only activates, you know, when it's a hero or doesn't work versus boss monsters, etc. Which I get because sometimes those units can trivialize hard content like Abyss, for example. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to have a unit that's good in both. That way I can recommend you guys to pull for units, you know, that are great at both. I think we need more PvE plus PvP monsters. But yeah, let's go ahead and check out the skill animation here real fast.
The start of an enemy's extra turn grants
Oh,
immunity.
let me scroll through a little farther. Here we go.
Immunity and
So
barrier
Silius is
effects
going to be the
can only
main
be
reason,
activated
guys,
once
and
every
we'll
2
cover this
turns,
more in
and
depth.
only activates when the enemy is a hero. Skill 3.
Did we see that? Let me watch it again real quick.
Once every 2 turns.
So as soon as the extra turn procs, right, we get the barrier immune called flow control. And yeah, we get that 2-turn immunity to the barrier. The barrier looks fairly weak. I don't know if we were able to catch the test server. I never really take too much stock into the test server rules, guys. They are able to influence the numbers and things like that, and a lot of times it's off in compared to what we get in the real game. But yeah, the barrier looks fairly weak. It's based off her max HP. We'll see when she actually comes out, when it's fully molded. I don't even know if this is fully molded, whatever. Like I said, it's on their PTR, their test realm.
And only activates
their
when
test
the
server
enemy is a
thing.
hero.
So she actually, oh wait, we were able to catch that there for a sec, guys. Let me see the health.
And only activates when the enemy is a hero.
So she actually has 15, can y'all see that on the screen? 15.8k health. Okay. If we get that higher, I'm assuming the barrier, you know, will look a little bit nicer there. It looks decent on like lower HP units like the Ida. But on the Rabio, it's tiny.
Divination.
Okay.
In accordance with the divination.
So here's the skill 3,
increase
boys.
Attack of all allies for 2 turns. And combat readiness by 20%.
So it is on the skill 3, the animation.
Grants skill nullifier once to the caster.
She gets skill null. And by the way, this is very important. They were testing this, guys. If you notice in the PTR, in the test realm, Doctor's Bag. I paused it right here. Okay, don't think she has a cleanse built into her kit. And that's going to be very, very important, especially with her skill 2 interaction. So they're actually using Doctor's Bag on the skill 3. And if you weren't aware, that's a Soul Weaver artifact that I believe cleanses 2 debuffs now. It's been changed. Before it was really, really bad, but I believe it's 2 debuffs. It's something like that. Just understand it's a cleanse debuff artifact for Soul Weavers. And so they're using it here, and it's getting rid of the, I believe they had attack down from the Silius, this Conquer Lilius skill 3.
Caster.
So she gets CR push, skill null, and 2-turn attack up, and it has a very short cooldown. Let's look at it again real fast, boys. Divination, 3 turns after Mola. Yeah, skill null, 50% CR, attack up for all allies for 2 turns with a 1-turn off time, 3-turn total, right? So she'll only be 1 turn before she can cast it again, which is really nice. Very fast cycling. Skill 1, I believe this is nothing really to write home about, guys. We'll let the guy talk.
Moonlight Wave. Attacks the enemy with an ethereal moonlight wave. It has up to a 60%
So
chance
60%
to
after
put them to
Mola.
sleep for 1 turn. This skill does not trigger a dual attack.
Okay, before we watch the animation, so this is 60% chance after Mola to sleep for 1 turn, which is fine. That's, you know, I think like Montmorency has something similar, and believe it or not, that is it's a pretty nice effect in the grand scheme of things to be able to sleep a target. Not as strong as stun, but for a Soul Weaver to have that on skill 1, I think is very nice. And the fact that you can Soul Burn it too gives her some utility. Effect chance to 100%, so you still will have to deal with effect resist and the potential of 15%. But yeah, I do think that's pretty powerful when you might need it to stop some big skill coming off. The fact that she has this is pretty cool. I actually believe, guys, the skill not triggering a dual attack in the current meta, I think this is actually a strength more so than a weakness. But if things were to shift around, sometimes having that 5% chance to bring in a big powerful skill or a skill 1 unit is nice, like a Spectre Tenebria, Apocalypse Ravi. But right now, with how many times you get punished by dual attacks, Lionheart, Sermia, Rowana, this is kind of nice, I think, since typically the S1, you know, nothing to write home about on a Soul Weaver.
Soul is consumed. Increases the effect chance to 100%.
So yeah, that's the typical Diminial animation. It looks good. They have that still animation there.
Merchant Guild, who has the gift of divining the future.
All right, guys, so there's the lobby animation. Looks-wise, boys, because I need to make this very important. Looks-wise, I think it's a 10 out of 10. Yeah, they rehashed a lot of the animations, the color palette, but I think just her look, the vibe, the backstory, they really, really killed it. She's my favorite Dominial, and I really like Challenger Dominial too. So I kind of want to pull her for looks alone. The whole Snow Bunny thing is very nice too.
August 11th.
Really, really like her a lot. looks wise. Now let's get to the gameplay wise, guys, because this is where things are going to take a little bit of a turn for the worse, at least for what I'm going to recommend you guys, especially the newer players, the free-to-plays, okay? So let's go ahead and start with the skill 2, because I think this is the most important part of her kit. This is really what makes her unique, guys. They wanted to design her as a anti-extra turn counter. So think of units like Conqueror Lilius. A lot of y'all might already be thinking of units like Para and Ran, but unfortunately, guys, she's not going to be that effective versus them compared to like Conqueror Lilius. And that's because, remember I talked about take note of the Doctor's Bag thing? Her flow control skill 2 doesn't have any cleanse. Her skill 3, even if you add a cleanse to it via artifacts, the skill 2 happens first. So what's going to happen here, boys, is if a Para hits unbuffable, if Ran strips, the skill 2 happens first, you have unbuffable, this doesn't proc, or Ran will strip it, and then by the time you try to cleanse, guys, you're already stuck with that, you know, the immunity and barrier won't proc onto your unit. So it's really mostly effective versus Conqueror Lilius. I think there's a lot of other units that it can be good against, but those are less meta. Off the top of my head, units like what? Anything with Soulburn, extra turns, Politis, Milim, Ida, those are pretty popular. I'm trying to only think of the more meta ones, guys, because those are the ones you're going to counter most in PvP. There's a lot of off-meta units that have extra turns, but I think units maybe like Elfelt could be strong versus them too. A lot of anti-cleave options, if you notice. So she's similar to Elena in that regard. Oh, and one other thing, guys. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place. It's all kind of coming to me since this is our first impression review. So there's, with how many out-of-turn activators there are currently in Epic 7, it's important to know what camp this falls into, okay? So this is going to be more like, think of Moonlight Haste. Moonlight Haste, when a unit dies and revives, right, he procs his barrier and resets his skill 3. I believe he also gives immunity too, but it's very similar to that. So instead of a unit like Elena, who I gave an example of before, where she will actually proc a skill, she can proc her artifact because it counts as a skill, and in turn she'll proc units like Politis because that counts as a non-attack skill. Moon Bunny Diminial, this shouldn't proc Politis, I believe, and it won't. Yeah, it won't be an actual activation. It's kind of just haste where it just pops up. So it should happen as well if she is crowd controlled, so slept or stunned. Until she actually comes into the game though, boys, we won't know for sure. But based on the text and how we have previous units, it's just important to know what kind of out of turn effect, how this happens out of turn, right? This is watch the animation. We have so many things that happen in response to units, and I believe that's how it's going to work. It's going to be more like ML Haste, less like Elena. All right, so we get increased effect resist, which, by the way, guys, I still don't know if I believe, I really can't tell, guys. You let me know. This is one where you guys will have to help me out. On her stat line, remember, it shows she had 50% effect resist. Hide this again real fast. Oops, wrong one. Is that 50 plus the 20 from the passive, or is this already included with the passive on it? I'm assuming that's with the passive, because 70 base would seem kind of busted, no? So I'm assuming this is 30 base and then 20 with the passive, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. It is nice though to have that much ER, because we are going to want to build her super ER, because if she gets unbuffable, you know, that's a bad sign. But we can run artifacts like Doctor's Bag to sort of mitigate that. But overall, the skill 1, like I mentioned, is very nice for utility. Having an attack up unit is super good, and she gets herself some skill null. Very basic unit, very simple, boys, and this is why I'm going to recommend most of y'all to skip for a few reasons here. Number 1, the fact that she is a Moonlight 4-star, and that you will have to either try to get lucky through Galaxy Bookmarks or spend up to 5,500 Mystic summons to get her. And guys, those don't count towards your ML5 pity. All right, it's a separate sort of summon. So any summons you do towards ML4s don't count towards any ML5s. And by the way, FCC's coming back on the banner, so just be aware of things like that. Or ML Pavel coming up probably next, guys. That's still kind of unconfirmed, but I'm guessing it's ML Pavel. So for a 4-star that, you know, she does seem like she has a spot, especially if you have trouble with Conqueror Lilius, boys, in Guild Wars and Arena, maybe even RTA. She seems like she'll do her job big time there, but she's still way more niche, has really no, in my opinion, PvE capability, so it's really just to counter a few specific, you know, albeit powerful units. I really don't recommend you guys to spend up to 5,000 Mystics on her when that can go towards a Mystic ML5, half of a Mystic Pity, over half of a Mystic Pity, boys, okay? So be careful summoning for her. I know she looks super good, but I would really only advise the endgame players that need that extra sort of tool in their toolkit, primarily versus Conqueror Lilius's, Ida's, Politis. anything that soul burns, etc. I think she does have a spot there, but for most of y'all watching, just wait to get her later. Maybe they'll do a recall on a bugged ML4 and you'll get a selector again. They did that a few times last year. Or otherwise, you'll get her eventually through Galaxy Summons. I promise ML4s are pretty common. I would try my best for free-to-plays, okay, and early game players to not summon for her, even how cute she looks. If you guys have a lot of money that can swipe, if you're late game, do whatever you want. I probably will try to, you know, throw some mystics at her, because one, I think she looks really good, and two, she could shore up some weakness matchups for me in RTA, and also just really good in Arena Guild Wars, because I hate fighting Conqueror Lilias. All right, guys, let's go ahead and speed through the rest of here, because we spent a lot of time on the light Diminial. Ancient Heritage Season 3 is coming back. Make sure you're in a good guild, boys. There's some very good equipment to get from there. We can skip through the balance adjustments. Just take note, Valen changes aren't really the same, right? They kind of reverted what they did previously, so take a note at that if you do use him. And then last but not least, drop rate up for Flan, boys. Guys, make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to have a ML Flan, Pirate Flan, some people call her Fapton, Pirate Flan video for you guys for RTA, where I've been having an absolute blast, and I think she's actually pretty good if certain things, you can run certain units and run certain artifacts. But stay tuned. I'll leave that for later. So I might get some imprints. Everyone else, unless you need a Flan, you can get it from Season 2 Selector, or excuse me, the Season... It's called the Episode 2 Selector, but you get that after Season 3. So, you know, probably don't pull on this, especially with the collab around the corner, guys. Don't forget, FMA collab. Not 100% confirmed, but they did confirm a collab is coming. So save your bookmarks for that. Rowana. This one, boys, if you do play RTA a lot, she is she's always been relevant, but she's pretty irrelevant now with all the extra, you know, counterattacks, dual attacks happening. So I would pick her up if you need her for RTA or PvP, but otherwise, really, you need to be hoarding your bookmarks for the upcoming collab. And then if they decide to run the summer units, I know a lot of people waiting for Seaside Bologna, Holiday Euphine. They might run those again in like a root banner, so guys, try to hoard as many bookmarks as you can. Here's the Mystic Summon rotation, boys. I'd really just go for FCC if you were going to go for one of these. Otherwise, save for ML Pavel. Let's see what his kit is. Yeah, FCC is the best one of the bunch there, if you want to pull for the light Dominiel on top of that. And I think that about wraps it up. Man, she looks really good, boys. Okay, so that's my overall take, guys. New players avoid. Endgame players could be useful in certain matchups as like an extra tool to punish those Conqueror Lilias or other extra turn units. But overall, she doesn't have like as busted of a kit as AOL, where she's a must pull for everybody. So please save your mystics. And two, guys, one more time, save all your Covenant bookmarks, okay? Don't be blinded by the personality of the plot. You need to save those bookmarks for collab and potentially the other rerun of the summer units coming out. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.